Hey everyone, Matt here on another edition of Ask Ron. Ron, how you doing today?
I'm good. We just finished up our annual Christmas party and had a great lunch, and here we are answering questions almost at the end of the year now.
That's right. Only a few more weeks left. All right, the first question we have is from Christopher in Texas.
Okay, Christopher.
Christopher says, I have a 5,850 feet, 55 feet square home, 6 bedroom, 5 bath, 10 parking spaces, and a 3 car garage.
Wow,
Big home.
big home.
The seller wants a $30,000 option deposit and $7,000 a month for 12 months. The house is located in Colleyville, Texas. Please help as he wants a proposal for these terms emailed to him.
Okay, well, he won't get that from me, I can tell you that. We don't put up a $30,000 deposit on a house we don't own, and we don't do it for a year. The only time I do it for a year is if there's a lot of equity in it and I intend to cash out of it instead of putting a lease option tenant buyer in it. Could put a lease option tenant buyer in it as long as you can get them qualified within the next few months and get them cashed out. That's an option as well, but you can't do that in Texas. So the only thing you can do is buy it and sell it for cash, or buy it and sell it with owner financing, and then you'd have to put a very short-term balloon on it, and it might make it a very hard sale. But the biggest thing is there's no way we're giving a seller a $30,000 deposit on a property we're leasing. Maybe a down payment if we buy it with owner financing, which is very common in Texas. You're going to buy it on an all-inclusive trust deed or a wraparound deed of trust, they call it. Maybe, but definitely not for a year, because now you've got $30,000 at risk. So those terms have got to change. So there's no need to worry about sending him some kind of a written agreement until you actually have an agreement. And right now you do not have an agreement. When I lease option houses, I give them nothing, especially if I'm going to do a short term down. And $7,000 a month, ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That thing will never command $7,000 a month. You'll be extremely in the hole negative. So that deal is not going to work as it's written, and probably won't work at all before it's through.
All right. Next question we have is from Jeremy in Wisconsin. Jeremy has 3 questions. This is the first of his 3. He says, if someone is placed in assisted living or a nursing home, can they sell on terms and not have the assisted living or nursing home come and take that asset back to pay the medical care bills?
Well, if it depends. If, of course, they're paying the medical care bills, then the nursing home has no business meddling in their life. If the government, however, is involved in paying them, then the nursing home will take everything that person's got to pay those bills. It's just that simple. And there's a look back period. In other words, you can't just deed your house away and then next week check into a nursing home. Won't work, because a nursing home has look back rights. They're going to want to know where the money went, and they're going to want the money. So you need to check with your local rules with somebody who actually is in the know where you live. You're not going to get that information from any seminar. Get it yourself from a professional where you live, complying with the state laws where you're at.
All right. His next question is somewhat related. Jeremy says, if I was to buy a home with owner financing, what is the nursing home going to do as far as collecting assets from the resident of the nursing home and the house they sold to me?
They will start collecting the incoming payment on that debt, most likely. And of course, you're making an outgoing. If there's any monthly spread in there, they get to choose whether they want to collect that, start collecting that. In other words, they can take ownership of that incoming note and become the one receiving the payments, but then they have to pay out the payments. So whether they'd want to do that or not, I don't know.
Perfect. And then Jeremy's last question, also related. Jeremy says, if the nursing home took the monthly payments I am paying to the seller, how long do they collect those? Is there a set amount of time before they give up?
No. If you're making payments to the seller, that's an asset the seller has to disclose when they check in, and the nursing home very well will probably want to receive those payments. Again, check with your local qualified person on that subject.
All right, there you go, Jeremy. The next question we have is from Lee, who is also in Texas.
Guys, by the way, I'm coming to Texas next month. I'm going to be in Dallas for an all-day seminar on the 5th, right? Yeah. And I'll be in San Antonio on the 6th. And then we're doing a boot camp not specifically for, but of course there'll be quite a few Texans in the room at the end of the month, the last week of the month. So I'll be spending a lot of time in Texas next month. And I speak Texan. I might even wear my Texas hat, and most certainly will wear my Texas shirt. And I got Texas boots, but I don't know. That's going a little bit far for me.
You're gonna be Texas out.
And by the way, in the boot camp, I'm going to have Scott Horn, which is the Texas real estate attorney that I've been referring people to. He's going to be at the boot camp one of the days, one of the 4 days.
Nice. All right. Lee starts to say, I reside in Texas where lease options are very limited and wrap loans for owner financing are about to become much more restrictive due to the Texas Senate Bill 43. Therefore, I am looking to market and purchase pretty homes outside of Texas and would like some guidance on the better states and cities to look for these types of properties. Or a better question might be, what states are the ones I should avoid when working the pretty house system and lease options?
Okay, first of all, a proposed bill is not a bill, and I don't know anything about that bill you're talking about, but I can promise you that it's been blown out of proportion and is probably nowhere near what you think it is after it goes through about 17 different mouths. So the first thing you want to check is what really is in that bill and how does it affect you on wraps. Secondly, there is no state that's better than any other state when it comes to the terms business. There's terms deals in every single state. Now, if you think you want to go out of Texas, are you really thinking that through? Do you really believe that the thousands and thousands and thousands of investors that are in Texas are also going to go out of the state because of some stupid law that probably is not even anywhere near what you think it is? No way. A, you're giving up way too soon. And B, you haven't done your homework. So go do your homework. And if you're going to move out of Texas, I can't tell you where to move. I can tell you that there's states all around you that do terms, but they do a lot of them in Texas as well. In fact, I just did a podcast yesterday with a fellow that I've known for a long, long time, and he has got over $52 million worth of incoming wrap mortgages that Mitch Stevens is his name. You probably know him. $52 million worth of incoming payments to him on houses that he bought and sold on wraps in Texas. So get the information. Scott Horn will be up on any proposed law, by the way. He'll be at my Texas boot camp. He's a Texas attorney in Dallas. He represents everybody in Texas, and he's very skilled on the terms business and does it himself, as well as closes a lot of deals for other investors.
All right.
Be careful to whom you listen.
That's right. Sounds like Lee might want to stop by on the 5th and the 6th.
Yeah.
All right. We're on our last question here, and this one's from Van up in Washington.
Okay.
Van says, hello, Ron. I have a seller who wants to agree to sell me his house for $284,000, and he agrees to let me take over his existing mortgage of $184,000.
Mm-hmm.
The Zillow's estimate is $322,000, and the house sits on an AC lot, and the seller said that the lot can be used to build another house.
Okay.
My challenge is that the seller wants $100,000 equity at the closing table.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what is the best way to come up with this $100,000?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're interested in working and partnering with your student?
Okay. The answer is no. There's no way you're going to come up with that $100,000 because you're not going to go to the bank and get a loan to buy this house just because this guy wants to sell it. B, there's not that much equity in it to begin with. If you pay him $284,000, most certainly not enough for you to come up with $100,000 worth of cash. C, there's no way I'd partner on that deal. It does not make any common sense whatsoever. Why would an investor put up $100,000 to make the difference between that ARV you gave me and that purchase price minus all the cost in the middle? By the time you're through, you might be writing a check at the closing when you sell the property. You got payments on the underlying loan, you got all those costs, you got holding costs, you got sales costs, taxes, insurance, probably in the loan. And then, of course, that's assuming you don't even sell it with a realtor. If you sell it with a realtor, there goes $20,000 right there. There's nothing left in that deal. So in other words, the deal sucks. If that seller's got to have $100,000 down, pass. And here's what I tell him. We usually buy with nothing down. How close to nothing can you get? And then he'll give you an answer. And you say it again, well, you're heading in the right direction, but that's nowhere near what I'd put down on that house. So I'd buy the house and I'd give you your price, but I'm not going to put anywhere near what you're asking down. That's totally out of the question. So, how close to nothing can you get? And if you don't like the answer, pass, move on, follow up later. He's just one seller. You need a stack of them on your desk like that you're working, and you won't care what one seller says or think. and you've fallen victim to the one dealitis here, which many new investors do. They get somebody that they actually wants to have a conversation with them. They want ridiculous terms, but now you're spending your time trying to figure out a way to give that person ridiculous terms instead of passing them and going and getting somebody else that needs you way worse than you need them. You're never going to do business with this seller, I can tell you that right now.
All right, Ron, I think that was it for today.
Okay, learn when to hold them, learn when to fold them. Learning when to fold them is equally important as learning when to hold them. So you got to learn how to pre-screen. Get to my boot camp, for crying out loud. I'm going to be in Texas at the end of the month. I'll be there personally, incidentally. I don't send the clone, so come on down. I'll see you guys next week, and if something happens, you don't tune in next week, have a very, very, very Merry Christmas.